she was molesting my brother when he was maybe about 13 or 14. He was living on the land at the time. I think she was like 23, and she was molesting him. So once I remembered that, I was like, okay, so that's why she's here.
It all started when Tia Thomas, who was a girl that I was talking to, when she left the land. When she left the land, we started dating, we started to talk. I asked her why she left. She never mentioned anything about molestation or anything like that. She just wanted to just leave because she was upset. She never explained to me why she left totally, but she just left.
I would see Jacob talking to the girls, saying that he wanted to get this plot against his father, and he wanted to go to the FBI, saying that his father was molesting girls, and that he wanted the girls to say that his father was molesting them.
Jacob told me that some of the girls and boys that left the community had went to the government about different things that was going on in the community, meaning child molestation. Before I left the community, I was the main person in charge of the finances, as well as in charge of anything that went on with the community, the living, eating, anything, the financial, anything that happened regarding any of the members in the community. I dealt with that, so I was basically in charge.
In May of 2001, Jacob invited me on a trip to Florida that he planned for Memorial Day weekend. He told me that a lot of people I knew were going to make me want to go more. He named Habiba Washington, Arlene Hamilton, Esther Cole, Atia Thomas, Nicole Lopez, and Farah Muhammad. He told me to come along with them and maybe I would change my mind. I didn't go on a trip. I stopped communicating with Jacob because he told me I had to choose his world or Mr. York's world.
One case in particular, I saw Lemuel LaRoche, what's his name? Bruce Baeth Smith and Ahmed Smith, they're brothers. They approached Esther Cole and Dina Cole. They came to their apartment and they were like, we need you to say that you were molested by Mr. York and that you saw young children being molested and that you brought children to him so that he could molest them. And they were like, no, we don't want to do that. That never happened. We never saw any children being molested. He never molested us. We don't want to be a part of that. We just want to move on with our lives. Nothing like that ever happened to us.
Jacob told me that the FBI knew who I was and that they were told about certain things that I've done in the community, and some of those things I can be incriminated for. Jacob told me that if I don't go to the FBI first, then they would come after me, they would incarcerate me, they would take my children away from me because there are things that they were told about me that could incriminate me.
I didn't go along with it when he told me he was going to go to the FBI, and I understand if a person is mad, and of course if it's family, you have the right to be mad at whoever you want, but I felt like he was taking it a little too far, and I was not going to be in on that one.
With me, it was like you was in charge, you had control of a lot of things, and so anybody could say this about you and it would be believable because you was in charge. There was no denying that I was in charge. I was in charge. So I felt that I had to go along with the story because I couldn't prove anything that anybody would say against me. I didn't feel that I could prove it. I mean, he told me that once they tell the FBI something, the FBI is looking into you. They start looking into me. There was no way that I can prove that what anybody said about me wasn't the truth or wasn't a lie. There was no way. So I felt compelled to just go ahead with the story.
One of the things I like to point out is you have to observe Eric Garland is currently representing one of the attorneys representing T.I. And T.I. was charged with possessing and purchasing machine guns, and he's an established convicted felon. One of my good friends, Dwight Thomas, who's a black attorney, is also one of the counsel for T.I. Now, what they did is when the government came out with the allegations, the first thing they did was have a press conference in front of the federal courthouse. But in a deeper fashion, you have to look at that and say, okay, well, What's more serious allegation? You have T.I., who's an established convicted felon purchasing machine guns with silencers, which in my mind indicates an imminent threat if you have silencers. But he was granted bond. Okay? In Dr. York's case, you have a person with allegations of sexual conduct, a lot of which is outside statute of limitations. But the more important things about the allegation with the children that was not brought up in the beginning was the number of children that said nothing happened. See, the interesting thing about this case, you have a group of children that said so-and-so happened. But you have another group of children that said it didn't happen to me, even though these other children said it happened to me, and it didn't happen to them either. So of the actual indicted children that were in the indictment, we present about the same number of witnesses as the government did to say nothing happened to me and nothing happened to them. The government presented witnesses that said, okay, something happened to me and I saw something happen to them. So really you had virtually of the people relative to the indictment that period of time, you had a virtual split in terms of the people that were saying something happened. And what would have been important at that time is that they had 6 of the individuals that were children that were alleged to have been molested taken by defects. And they were questioned and they denied any